back when most supercars were naturally aspirated and the thought of some kind of a turbocharged or, God forbid, hybrid drivetrain was like blasphemy, now we're living in the opposite world. Most supercars have some kind of forced induction or some kind of e-motor to help them along, but not this one. This is the Audi R8 V10, and it's got a naturally aspirated engine. Doesn't need any help at all. You know, when I first picked up this car, I didn't think it would garner a lot of attention. After all, it's much less, what's the word? Oh yes, obnoxious. It's much less obnoxious than the Lamborghini Huracan that it's based off of. Still, at my first lunch stop, at least 3 guys came up and talked to me about the 610 horsepower engine, and at least one person that I know of took a picture of me while I was driving across the bridge into San Francisco. So the moral of the story is, ladies, you want to get a guy's number? You should drive an R8. Audi claims that the R8 can get from 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds and 0 to jail in about 10. Well, let's see how she do. I'm going to take the traction control off, press on the brake, throttle, and release. Look at that. Flat, no torque steer whatsoever. Ah! That's so much fun. All controls for the Audi are operated right here on this steering wheel. I've got a button for my drive select, which will put me through 4 different modes. I've got a performance button, and I've even got an exhaust button for sport or standard exhaust. But frankly, I can't really tell the difference. It sounds loud no matter what. It will probably annoy your neighbors and delight your senses. This V10 engine is tuned for 610 horsepower and 413 pound-feet of torque. Now, all of that is mated to a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission that puts the power to all 4 wheels. The thing about this engine, though, it is literally a screamer. It revs up to 8,500 RPM. So you think that it's time to shift and you look down and you've still got half the power band to go. It is just magnificent. What I really like about this transmission is that it upshifts so quickly. But what's even better is when you're coming into a corner and you brake, you get these awesome little like rev matching downshifts, which are just magnificent. In fact, this sports transmission is so good that I rarely found myself using the paddle shifters. And this is coming from someone who likes a lot of control in her cars. Instead, this transmission just knows how to let those 10 cylinders out to the wind and let them fly. And regardless of the 600 plus horses I've got there behind me, the R8 is incredibly easy to drive quickly. The Quattro is rear biased, but the computer will send torque to whatever wheel it needs to in order to get you out of trouble. Cornering in the R8 is very flat and very stable, and a lot of that is due to the double wishbone suspension on all 4 corners. All it really wants to do is just dig into these turns, power out, and gallop towards the next one. This car's got the optional 20-inch wheels wrapped in Pirelli P1 rubber, and these tires, they stick to the track like green on grass, man. It's just incredible. The steering is really quick, it's really precise, and it's tuned very nicely to have a good weight to it. But the problem that I have with most Audis is that I just don't get a lot of feel in it. It's tough to tell where my tires are in terms of their level of grip. Now, having said that, it's tough to get this car out of sorts, so I'm not sure how much it matters, but I would like a more direct feedback setup. You can can spend your life on the track as much as you would like to. And fortunately, this R8 is very, very easy to drive slowly as well. Simply kick it into auto or comfort and your ride gets much, much easier. Still, it's no slouch when you're driving around on the streets. It's going to downshift quickly for passing, and when you're in regular drive mode, it upshifts very quickly, all in the name of fuel economy. So I was driving around my neighborhood at about 31 miles an hour. The transmission was in 7th gear and my RPMs were at 1500. I'm not sure how much good that does, considering the EPA fuel ratings for this car are 14 in the city, 22 out on the highway, and 17 combined. And in my time with the R8, which granted included a lot of speed and a lot of hooning, I averaged 13. All my buttons are located here on my steering wheel, but there is a redundant rotary dial here in the center. The navigation uses Google Maps, and interestingly, on my drive here to the track, Google Maps was sending me in some very strange places. The cursor was over to the left, it was going through Walmart, it was trying to go onto side streets. So I'm not sure if that is a problem with Google or a problem with Audi's MMI system, but I was glad I had my phone as a backup. You know, I've always said that if I ever won the lottery, I would go directly to the Porsche dealership. But honestly, my time in this car, I think I might rethink that fantasy. I mean, I just love driving this. It's such an emotional car. It brings you so much joy, and it brings you just a touch of fear, but it also brings a sense of just badassery that I very rarely get when I drive a new car these days. And it looks like I'll have to win the lottery if I want to put an R8 into my stable. The detuned V10 with 540 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque, well, that starts at $162,900. And this bad mamma jamma, well, that starts at nearly $190,000. And with the optional leather and the gas guzzler tax, you're looking at $198,850. So, looks like I'll be left wanting an R8, but feeling lucky that I got to drive an R8.